Okay, this is character description 1. I think I'm going to talk about the third one. One of us people for the third option. Cable. Cable Howard. That's just, I find he's the most interesting one to talk about. So, Cable Howard's. Cable is a skeleton. Straight up magical skeleton. Is creative, kinda. He is. It is creative. I hope it is. Anyway. And now, Coldsteel is a fantasy place. It's going to be like that. And kind of medieval. It's kind of like how Naruto technology wise, it's random. Technology is random when it wants to be. I don't know yet. Anyway, Cable is not only just a skeleton, he is a skeleton from the mirror dimension. A dimension that mirrors the whole entire world. It has its own set of elemental gems as well, but nothing really goes into that. They are brought up and almost never mentioned again. Granted, I never created the story yet, but I don't plan to add them since I'll just tack on like a lot of stuff. And usually, and since mostly evil people in the regular world are after it in the mirror dimension, those evil people are just genuinely nice people. Because yes, it can. There are a lot of opposites or people that are reflected in the mirror world and the regular world. Just sometimes the reflections not be completely true, such as Edward's reflection is practically the same as Edward in the original world, except he just lives in the mirror dimension and a different clothing choice. That's about it. Nothing too special. Speaking of Edward, a short mention of him. I guess let's just describe these characters and what they are. Edward is a tree ant. He works super close to Mother Nature. In fact, he's one of the strongest nature elementals out there, ants out there. Comparable to, I guess you can say, if compared to anything, I guess practically the guardian of all nature. If he were to get stronger than he is, you can compare him to a god of nature. Right now, I guess he's demi or quarter god of nature, not fully. He is that powerful. I want him to be. These people should be able to deal with tough shit. Though, since he is that powerful, he could barely contain it around others. Well, if he went full out, he wouldn't be good around others, kind of like a bleach spiritual pressure thing. So he does limit himself usually, and that's why some fights could be difficult for him, and he's not inherently OP. Same with and he usually gets Edward gets this power and the power to transform into his human form. And if you want to describe it to you, he is about 6 feet, I believe, 6 feet 5, if I remember correctly, if that's the height I gave him. Has marigold eyes, gray hair, is, I guess, coffee colored after you add, like, a bit of milk to lighten it up. Not too creamy, not like the kind of coffee you get, like, at like, McDonald's or stuff when you ask for milk coffee. Milk in your coffee. Take away a bit of that milk, take that shade and bring it like a couple notches down, and you'll get his skin tone. Gray hair. That's just I don't. I just like that he has gray hair, and when he's an ant, he also has gray leaves because of that. Nice. He usually wears top. Well, just like I tried basing his clothes on a kimono, so he's a yukata top, basically super long sleeves. It is connected by an obi sash. I don't know if that's only just a woman thing, but I gave to Edward. He could be feminine if he wants to, or wear a woman's kimono. I'm not judging him. Dear. And yeah, Usually wears shorts since the bottom part of it is split into two pieces that can flow around, since I do like flowy aspects on characters. Because I don't know, just imagining a flowy aspect on a character during movement is something cool and I just like it. So yeah, a lot of characters have a flowy aspect to their character design, even if it doesn't make sense all the time. So yeah, boom. That's his character. Also, he has brown boots. So I guess describe the color. The kimono thing. I don't know exactly what to call it. The obi sash is brown, with the kimono itself being green, with dark green vines surrounding it, with flower patterns on those vines. The flowers growing out of those vines, same with leaves around those flowers. And his hair is pretty goddamn long. Uh, Put it into a ponytail, a low ponytail, so it's really just gathering the rest of his hair in one spot and just letting it hang down. Goes like behind his knees. And yeah. Oh, that would be done to anyone else. For him, his hair can just turn back into leaves. And he can harden those leaves to be sharp and make those leaves sharp as steel. And since the leaves are just his hair, he can do the same to his hair. So grabbing it is not your best idea. Anyway, back to Cable. I don't know how he's such time on Edward. Cable is a skeleton. That's his true form. A skeleton. But just like Edward, he gained a human form from the gem of dimensions, which is only a gem because he was the first ever mirror dimension person to ever come out of the mirror dimension. So that gem is literally a part of him and a part of the mirror he carries around as a symbol of his mirror dimension. Now, what that gem can allow him to do is draw upon the power of the mirror dimension. And yes, the power from the mirror dimension is a lot, since that's the power from a whole entire dimension. The mirror dimension resistance are also pretty powerful, at least comparable to everyone out here. And since they have someone comparable to Edward, if slightly just a bit stronger or weaker, I don't know if I want to make the mirror dimension as in stronger or weaker. Granted, it doesn't matter unless I'm setting like a side story for the mirror dimension. And even then, if I did, it would just be Edward and Cable, and if they both happen to go there, then it wouldn't matter. Since Edward, I forgot to talk about the gem Edward has. Edward is tasked with the protection of the nature gem. He keeps it safe, basically, and keeps it on him at all times, in a locket that's under his yukata. I don't know if I'm saying that right. His kimono thing. And nobody really notices since, one, the necklace is pretty small and his yukata covers it completely, so no one really knows where it is. And people that do usually can't defeat him, so it doesn't really matter. That gem allows Edward to call upon the power of nature all around him. If he were to go into the mirror dimension, since that gem is connected to all nature, since it's connected to nature in the overworld, if he went to the mirror dimension, he could call upon both of the dimensions' nature powers, which would boost him to ungodly amounts of power. So no, I'm not doing that. At least not right now. If it's a side story for just Edward and Cable for them in the mirror dimension, I'll probably just give him at least lock it down. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not thinking too hard on it for right now. Just know if he were to get the nature power from both dimensions, he'd be pretty broken. I should also talk about the powers. Edward, obviously being a nature elemental, has powers over nature. He can create and control vines, roots, trees, flowers, any type of plant, really. Plant manipulation, wood manipulation, stuff like that. He can also turn back into his end form, which is really strong. Stronger than his human form, because obviously getting punched by fucking tons of wood instead of just a fucking fist. And he is also pretty good at healing magic. healing and support magic out of his regular magic of nature. So yeah, that's all of Edward, I think. I can also list his likes, dislikes, flaw. Yeah, I guess I can. Likes, obviously, Cable. I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but they are married. They're husbands. Uh, he does love, again, nature, obviously expected. He has a strange fascination toward pumpkin pie and eggnog, and absolutely adores croquet. Don't know why. A lot of these things I just made up on the spot, and I'm liking them way too much than I should. You know, just came up with them, so we're doing great. Uh, He dislikes people when, like, are obviously trying to get on his nerves. Cause why? He just doesn't enjoy that. I don't know many people who would. He also generally dislikes people who harm nature for like no good reason, and if they do have a reason, okay reason for it, don't plant back nature because nature helps them with life, and he gets pretty fucking peeved at it, like annoyed. He also loves the Zen garden. That's another like, and dislikes anyone who bothers it to the point uh, of irrational anger and want to destroy them. Enough to the point only his husband and his adopted, well, not adopt. I guess they're not really adoptive. They were made for a ritual that combined their magics into two different daughters, Ashlyn and Madison. Yeah, and only his family can only call them after that. And Edward and Erebus and Bastion if they're lucky enough. Especially Bastion since he's probably the one who ruined it. You get blasted fucking high heavens. Anyway, enough about Cable now. Yeah, that's it. Not Cable. I meant Edward. God. Anyway, Cable, again a skeleton, and after coming through the from the mirror dimension, created a gem, the dimensional gem, which he has in his gigantic mirror. Now, Cable is what you would classify as a mirror skeleton. That's all skeletons that come from the mirror dimension. But Cable is special since his specialty is mirrors, or any reflective surface, actually. He can melt into any reflective surface, usually, though, done with his magically created mirrors. And basically go between them and manipulate glass, truly, since or any reflective material to what he does. Similar, think of Haku's ice release or any ice and crystal release from Naruto, but make it glass, kind of fragile, a lot more fragile than crystal release. So just ice release level durability instead of crystal release level durability, and that shit's hella durable as it's only weak to two things, and even then, it can get past this is pretty freaking okay, pretty fucking well if the user wanted them to. So yeah, ice release level durability for his reflection manipulation, or manipulation of reflective objects such as glass, ice, and other stuff that can reflect generally. Not water, since that's actually I guess it would count as water since you can make water mirrors. So yes, he can also control. He has hydrokinesis, I guess, if you want to put it that way, for his magic. He can also pull things. Use the mirror dimension attack specific to mirror dimension, such as I guess you could call it one of his ultimate moves. Uh, Using his gigantic mirror that he carries on him always, it's usually floating around him, though shrunken, or on near his back enlarged. It carries it both ways. Sometimes either or really depends on the situation. Because if he's out adventuring, it's usually off of him, floating around him somewhere shrunken, so he can launch it at anyone else to notice. That's a precautionary measure. Wandering around peacefully, it's enlarged on his back since it'll just look like he's carrying a fucking mirror. What do you want? You can also do opposite, so really it doesn't really matter. Anyway, pulling stuff from the mirror dimension is a lot, since a lot of the stuff in the mirror dimension has awkward properties, like lightning being kind of like slow. It's slow, but random. More random than lightning regularly is. Because while lightning can arc off of each other extremely fast, since this is so slow, since it's traveling at a slower speed, the arcs of lightning don't. They travel at a similar speed. So lightning coming from the mirror dimension, while slow, and rapidly multiplies into extreme wide area attacks. Earth is very extremely precise since it's as fast as lightning, but it won't deal like massive area effect damage. But if you want to absolutely destroy someone in front of you, you could. Wind is weird since it'll just feel like, I guess, mix a tornado with slicing winds and you get wind, I guess. While also it being extremely uncomfortably hot. Fire is extremely cold to the point we'll get frostbite or freezer burn, or like burns you get from dry ice. You'll get it from the fire. That's what the mirror dimension's fire produces. It's quite interesting now that I think about it, and I'm glad I've talked about it since I can flesh out all the magic for these characters. And like Haku's ice release, Cable can melt into any reflective surface and appear in another one. So technically, one of his techniques is exactly like Haku's demonic crystallized mirrors, except expect a lot of magic spam while he hides safely inside any mirror he wants to, with almost no risk to him. And seeing as he can control any reflective surfaces, he can potentially shoot out multiple magic attacks, mirror dimension magical attacks, which are very different and unpredictable to people living in the regular overworld, regular dimension. So yeah. Oh, Cable also does have a human form because using the power of the mirror dimension and his dimensional gem was able to create it. He is of the same skin tone as Edward, though he is a tiny bit more creamier colored when you add like the perfect cream color for when you add milk into coffee. He has strikingly blue eyes. Only person like the crystal clear blue, like something you can see like in the Antarctic Ocean. Black hair. And in his human form, he does carry half of his skeleton mask or a quarter of it. Depends on how much of his face he wants to show. So yeah, it will either take up a corner of his face. Usually, it'll always have his eye being covered by the skull mask, and never not. It will never not cover his left eye, since that eye always doesn't usually come out perfect during the transformation. And that's because that eye got damaged way back when he was in the mirror dimension. So it can't just fully function correctly as much as he would like it to. We're trying to decide. So he just creates a half skeleton mask to just make sure no one actually realizes what's happening with that. So, yeah, there's that. His clothes. He wears, I don't know. It's like one of those a thing of thing around by chapter 1 victims where they get the thing claps around their neck and a chain goes out. That's constantly on his neck, always. And for his regular choice of wear, it is usually a tattered robe, a gray one. Gray tattered robe. It's usually tattered most at the bottom, with the sleeve ends also being tattered. He also wears slightly baggy pants with gray steel-tipped boots. Oh dear. I think that's all that I can talk about for right now for Cable. Yeah. I think that's it. Let me see if I'm coming up with anything else. I don't think I am. Uh, yeah, no, that's it. Hmm. Yeah, that's all I got. I don't know why I continue to say it. Anyway, see you later, I guess. Bye.